Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on April 20th, 2026. We are facing a civilizational collapse in the West, and it's going to take force because the Chinese and the rest of the world have offered to write off all American and Western debt, public and private, and replace a system of Babylonian debt slavery with one where the government creates money and uses it for the public good. And the offer is on the table, and the elites are refusing it because they're still trying to enslave us. And this war on Iran was yet another attempt to kill all of us. And who are these people? Well, let's take a look at the person that the so-called U.S. government sent to negotiate in Pakistan with Iran, Jared Kushner. Listen to him talk about, ethnic cleansing in Gaza.
Gaza's waterfront property. It could be very valuable from Israel's perspective. I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. I think proactively recognizing a Palestinian state would essentially be rewarding an act of terror.
And his statement has only become even more ominous after President Donald Trump, of course, declared that the United States will own the Gaza Strip. And in fact, Kushner is putting big money into an Israeli firm that finances and insures construction projects in Israeli settlements.
Jared Kushner, who is apparently attempting to financially benefit from it all to the tune of multiple billions of dollars. He's been married to Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka since 2008, played a major role in Trump's first election, and has since benefited from his time in the White House by enriching himself through immense foreign investments into his wholly owned private equity firm, Affinity Partners. This week, it was revealed that as he has been actively negotiating quote-unquote peace in the Middle East, he has also been reportedly attempting to drum up $5 billion in investment from the very countries poised to benefit most from a weakened Iran, while also receiving tens of millions of dollars in management fees from those very same countries for their investments in Affinity Partners. Kushner is one of the most important goons in the Trump regime goon squad, and while he attempted to at least appear slightly concerned with ethics and propriety the first time around, during the second term, Kushner appears entirely convinced that there is no reason to put up the facade anymore, and it follows a pattern of corruption during Trump 2.0 that is all too familiar. And corruption that would have once been an unprecedented scandal gets swept aside in the daily torrent of atrocities being committed around the globe by the Trump regime. Anti-nepotism statute says that, quote, no public official, including the president, is permitted to appoint, employ, promote, or advocate for appointment in or to a civilian position in any agency, any individual who is a relative of the public official. 18 U.S.C. Section 208, that's the criminal code, says that an officer or employee of the United States, including any special government employee, may not participate personally and substantially as a government officer or employee in a particular matter in which he or an organization in which he is serving as officer has a financial interest. Willfully violating 18 U.S.C. 208 comes with up to 5 years in prison. 5 CFR Part 2635 requires that government employees place loyalty to the Constitution, the laws, and ethical principles above private gain. It prohibits government employees from engaging in financial transactions using non-public government information, from using public office for private gain, and from giving preferential treatment to any private organization or individual. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8 of the U.S. Constitution, also known as the Foreign Emoluments Clause, says, quote, no person holding any office of profit or trust shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. The term emolument has long included any form of profit, advantage, gain, or benefit to include profits from private financial arrangements. But long after the icy cold grip of death finally comes for Papa Trump, these soulless monsters that have been pulling the strings behind the scenes will continue attempting to fuck shit up on a global scale. Trump at this point is so clearly a delusional, half-dead, propped-up mouthpiece that it's really even worth paying attention to what he's...
So here's a guy who's starting genocide in order to profit personally, supposedly representing the U.S. government. This is the same guy who bought 666 West 5th Avenue, the home of Lucent Technologies, where they were developing microchips to implant into human brains. Is this who we want in charge of our government? I don't think so. And the problem is that these people do not want to give up their magic money machine. It's the source of their power. More than 98% of American congressmen accept money from AIPAC. That means they represent Israel, not the United States. And they're not going to give up quietly. They're not going to go away. But these are human slavers. And the whole world is realizing it. Take a look at this MP in Europe. You know, pointing out what the whole world knows. The Nazis and Israelis are the same people.
Wyglądać dokładnie tak.
Dziękuję. Pan poseł Maciej Konieczny, Koło Razem. Pani...
Powinna wyglądać.
These are Jews who killed other Jews to force them to go along with their insane plans. These are the people who run the United States. And they just lost a war with Iran, and it's the biggest military defeat in U.S. history. I had some talks with U.S. intelligence people and military intelligence, and they told me that 4,000 American soldiers were killed by Iranian missiles and 3,000 of their family members. Another 2,500 are missing in action. The hospitals in Germany and the military hospitals in the U.S. are full of wounded U.S. troops. So they're saying now it's more than 10,000 American casualties. And Israel lost at least 200,000 people. They were, buried under their rubble as their plants they're working on were bombed. So this has been an incredible disaster. And yet, for some reason, we still have on our screens a visibly insane man, supposedly Donald Trump, and he was replaced. The one that was truly unhinged was taken to a hospital, and they seem to have come up with a replacement. But nonetheless, this person is not in charge, and this person is not saying. Listen to this guy summarize what he says in his own words.
So listen to Trump in his own words. Each of these is a tweet by him from the start of the war until now. And tell me that we do not need to remove this unwell man from office. Every word of this is real. Let me read it back to you in order, because when you hear it all together, it sounds absolutely insane. February 28th, this isn't a war. March 3rd, we won the war. March 7th, we defeated Iran. March 9th, the war is ending almost completely and very beautifully. March 12th, we did win, but we haven't won completely yet. March 13th, I don't like to say it, but we've won the war. This war has been won. March 14th, please help us. March 15th, if you don't help us, I will certainly remember it. March 16th, actually, we don't need any help at all. We're just testing our allies. March 17th, we neither need nor want NATO's help. March 18th, our allies must coordinate to the reopening of the Straits of Hormuz. March 19th, United States allies need to get a grip, step up, and help us open it up. March 20th, NATO are cowards. We may start winding this down. March 21st, we don't use it, we don't need it, we don't have to open it. March 22nd, this is the last time I will give Iran 48 hours. Iran is dead. March 24th, the war is nearing its end. March 26th, Iran is begging for peace, not me. They gave me a gift. March 27th, me and the Ayatollah, we got together to run the Straits of Hormuz. March 28th, we are very close to a deal. We gave them a 15-point plan. March 29th, Iran has undergone regime change. They're all dead. March 30th, we will blow up and obliterate oil and electrical plants in Iran and occupy Kard Island. March 31st, we're willing to end the war without reopening the Hormuz. Allies should go and get their own oil. We're not getting it for them anymore. April 1st, NATO is a paper tiger. April 2nd, we will halt weapons supplies to Ukraine unless NATO joins us to secure the Straits of Hormuz. April 3rd, we could take the oil. We can make a fortune. Allies should bring some delayed courage and go straight to the Strait and just take it. April 4th, we will rain down on them. The Ayatollah is seeking a ceasefire. Not me at all. April 5th, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day. Open the fucking straits, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise to be Allah. April 6th, Iran must not be able to control the Straits of Hormuz. April 7th, the whole civilization will die tonight. It will never be brought back again. April 8th, ceasefire. We've received a 10-point proposal from Iran. April 10th, Iran is extorting the world through the Strait. April 11th, we are clearing the Strait. April 12th, we will blockade the Strait of Hormuz. Any Iranian who fires at us will be blown to hell. That's it. Now tell me we don't need the 25th Amendment. This man must be removed from office. It's time.
So, you know, we definitely need to invoke the 25th Amendment, and I believe that the answer is going to have to be J.D. Vance. Here you can talk, here you see J.D. Vance. I know he's connected to Peter Thiel and he's not ideal, but we need at least to step in the right direction with him. And here he is saying that he's going to go after pedophiles.
I'm probably more obsessed with this than most officials, okay? Probably more obsessed with this than most people even in this room, is when you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, you know, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, you know, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there was some really nice, like, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in like an email from a guy. And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person, okay? And, you know, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should. We absolutely should. When you see evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not, in fact, you should probably investigate it more if you're a powerful person, right? I don't want powerful people, you know, being involved in this disgusting behavior.
Okay, that's important because it's this whole pedophile blackmail network that's fighting for their lives to prevent us from liberating ourselves from their system of Babylonian debt slavery. And they are slavers. For example, we now have a rabbi explaining to us that Ukrainian women are brought into Israel as slaves, prostitute slaves, against their will. Listen to him talk about it.
Thousands of Ukrainian girls was imported to Israel to work in prostitutions. In every block you have an apartment of Russian prostitute. We call it Russian because we do not know to tell the difference between Russian and Ukraine. They both look alike and they both speak Russian. We don't know to tell the difference. I guess the Russians, if they even, you know, so in other words, for us the Israelis, we don't really know the difference. We don't know. They published in Ukraine, if you would like to come in and work in Israel in cleaning or au pair, raising, watching children, all kinds of jobs like this, you're gonna make $4,000 a month. Wow, $4,000 in Ukraine? Better than a lawyer. It's a lot of money. So right away they arrived to Israel, and as soon as they arrived, these gangsters, when some of them themselves are Russian or Ukrainians, they do it for their own people. And they take their passport and say, give us your passport, we need to make you the visa and the papers, and that's it. From the minute they took their passport, they take them to some place, they bury them in a basement for 20 years. They don't see the daylight. They put these guys with guns, and they force them to be slaves over there. Some of them are married. They only came for 2-3 months to make. They thought maybe they're gonna bring back $10,000 and they can live 2 years after that. And their husband and wife and their children do not know where she disappeared. And that's.
So these are the kind of people who control the so-called U.S. government. And they even brag about it. You know, AIPAC put out an ad saying, hey, yeah, we control all the politicians. They're bragging about it. And yet these people want to kill us. They want to enslave us. And yet somehow they still control the United States, but not the rest of the world. And we can be pretty sure that this is not going to last much longer. For example, the United States says they're going to block the Straits of Hormuz. Well, they can't. They didn't. It's a lie. They've been militarily defeated. What they're going to try to do next, though, and this one could be good, they're going to try to blockade the Straits of Malacca. That's where 80% of China's oil goes through. So at a higher level, the U.S. and China do have to come up with an agreement on a new system. And it is happening. And also, China is changing in ways people don't realize. They just removed 700 million cameras from their streets. You know how they had this facial recognition system? They had cameras everywhere. They removed the whole thing. They took it out. They said, no, we don't want to have a digital prison for China. Okay, so they are changing. And I think we can reach a deal with them where together we work to make this planet better. Not to enslave everybody to one tribe of Satanists, but rather to all of us decide together what sort of future we want to build, what sort of world we want to live in. This can be done. We just have to remove the criminals who control the Congress. And most importantly, we need to take their control away from the magic money machine. This is the important thing. We need to go after Scott Bessent. He is married to a man, has a bunch of children. God knows where they got those children from, and God knows what they're doing to them, but that's not the sort of person who should be in charge of the money of the American people. And he has to be removed. And as I keep repeating, the Dragon family has an offer on the table to offer with gold-backed money to wipe off all debt, private and public, for the entire West, and then provide unlimited funding that you don't have to pay back to rebuild your infrastructure. Because the Asians believe that if you make your customer rich, they make you rich. It's a win-win solution for them. So the offer's on the table. We're waiting for an answer. And until we get one, we're just going to have to keep going after these people and keep doing it until they're finally and permanently removed from control of the West. This is very important. And it is happening. I mean, France, Spain, UK, everybody in NATO has broken away from the Israeli regime. So the United States, the Israeli-occupied United States is more isolated now than it has ever been. All the Western allies are dumping them, and it cannot last much longer. But it's horrific to see we still have this madman on our screens every day pretending that he's somehow a leader. He's not. He's a puppet reading scripts handed to him by child torturing Satanists. And this whole thing has to be taken down, and we're going to require the military to move into Mar-a-Lago and all these other places and shut down these studios, the TV studios, pretending to be government. Enough is enough. I think we're all sick and tired of it, and I'll be lobbying everywhere I can to make sure that this nightmare ends. But rest assured, most of the world has already shaken these people off, and now it's just the United States and Israel that need to be freed, and Ukraine. Once that's done, it's game over. So we're close. Hang in there, folks. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself today, and now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Evan, we have our first question for today. A few years ago, you mentioned that George Soros is dead. Now there are people that still think he is alive and well. So in your opinion, which one is it? I did a quick search on Brave browser, which found that George Soros is actively alive and healthy as of April 2026, despite recurring viral death hoaxes on social media.
I was told that George Soros was killed by Dick Cheney years ago. And after I was told that, the Soros family put out an announcement saying they're going to, hand over control to his children. But after that, they put out an obviously fake video of Soros speaking at, supposedly it was in Davos, Switzerland, but the video was recorded in San Francisco. And I'm pretty sure San Francisco is not in Switzerland. But what's happening is they keep the pretense these people are alive in order to keep that sort of power structure intact. So they pretend he's alive to protect the real handlers, from assassination, and to make it look like, it's still the same people in charge of money. Because otherwise, all sorts of messy inheritance things come up. So that's why they keep replacing dead people with fakes or computer graphics. But yeah, until they stop pretending he's alive, it's not over. So he's alive in the sense that he's alive as a lobby of a group of people who control the money printing machines. But the real George Soros is long gone, that's for sure. Next question.
Hi, Ben. I remember you said in a previous video you can show up to an airport in Japan 15 minutes before domestic departures and nobody will search you, which we normally get through at international entrances. My question is, who's the ultimate controller of the international flight security control at global airports? IATA, so Swiss, or WEF for clans. Even harmless wine cork openers are confiscated at Haneda Airport, and control for the sake of controlling is still imposed. Isn't there any pressure against those in control of international flights for Japan? And Why would these so easy checks only be applied to domestic departures?
Well, the domestic departures do actually have security screening. They're just really efficient at it. But yeah, this whole idea of forcing us to go through that humiliating ritual at airports, it's designed partly so they can sell machinery. They have like these body scanners and stuff. But the whole thing does, the path leads to Switzerland and the Octagon Group. And, hopefully when this is over, people will once again be able to just hop on a plane, 15 minutes before flight. And then they can do that without any worrying about hijacking, because the technology's there. They can just walk through, and if there's a gun or something, it'll be scanned. So there's no reason to have these huge lineups except to humiliate us and to sell unnecessary equipment to airports. And it's really annoying. And hopefully this will all end soon. Next question.
Ivan, in your last video, you mentioned that we have, quote, lost to China. Could you explain what that means to all of us as we in North America? Are we now under Chinese control?
Well, what I mean is that the U.S. Moved their industrial base out of the United States into China. This was the leaders of the, big corporations. So China can now manufacture like 11 times more steel, etc. So the real physical economy has been moved to China, and this is not something that can be fixed overnight. So what needs to happen, and the Chinese are offering to help, is to once again rebuild industry inside the United States. And the reason the current ruling class does not want Chinese help to rebuild U.S. industry is because they want to stay in control. And that is what's blocking it. But, essentially, these people thought that as long as they had their magic money machine, they could let the Asians actually build stuff. But they forgot that money is only valuable if it's backed by something real, and they lost everything real to back their money. So they lost the financial war, they lost the economic war, and they're losing the public opinion war big time. That's the reality. But, the American people and the Western people are waking up, and they're going to overthrow these criminals, and then once again we'll leave China in the dust. You watch and see. Next question.
Hi, Ben. In your last video at the 50-second mark, you say the U.S. military has announced a peace agreement with Iran that basically meant a complete surrender. How can you say that it is surrendering if it is only a ceasefire and not a peace agreement?
Well, if you look at the agreement that was published after Trump was put in the hospital, they said they're going to withdraw all U.S. troops from the Middle East. They were going to pay Iran compensation. And the other thing is they've lost the ability to block the Strait of Hormuz or to control the oil in the region. But what's happening now is the U.S. is moving to the Straits of Malacca. And that is a place where they can actually apply real pressure. So they can force China to reach a fair deal with the West. And that was what is going to happen. But as far as Iran is concerned, the reality is they lost big time. They lost 5 aircraft carriers. Israel lost 60% of their F-35s. They lost 15 Apache helicopters in like 5 minutes in Lebanon, and that means that they can't protect their tanks. And the missiles destroyed the fortified underground bunkers where the Israeli leadership was living, and their families, and they've all been killed. So no matter how much they try to fake the news, the reality is they lost. Next question.
Evan, we have our last question for today. What is the deadline for the offer being made to pay off all of the debt? One can only assume that this isn't an offer that's extended perpetually. What's going on with the army being assembled to hunt down the Khazarian mafia as well? And has it started yet?
Well, obviously, it still has a long way to go because we still haven't seen anybody arrested for the Epstein case in the United States. But the fact that the Edmund de Rothschild Bank was raided, and the fact that a high-level Freemason assassination squad was arrested, this means that this very high-level control of the government is being removed in France, and that people like Kushner and Trump are underneath these people. So at a very high level, it is happening. But until we get these idiots off our screens, and we once again have government, by the people and for the people, it's not over, and we have to keep fighting. But I ask for the military to please, go into Congress and arrest every single member of Congress who's accepted money from IPAC. That would be a good way to start. Okay, well, that's what we have to say this week, and hopefully there'll be good news next week. It's going to happen, but it's very frustrating to see these people still in power after all they've done, but it cannot last much longer. They don't have money, they don't have support, and they're internationally isolated. It should not be too long before Jared Kushner and all those people are handcuffed in front of the cameras. We must all work to make it happen. All right, well, hope to see you again next week.